It was a frigid March morning in 2024 when the siren's call brought NYPD to a lavish high-rise on Manhattan's Upper East Side. The apartment, a testament to silent money, held a grim secret that would ripple from Park Avenue to the global community of international students. Inside, they found the body of Anya Sharma, a 19-year-old student at Columbia University. Her death was initially tagged as a tragic accident, perhaps an overdose fueled by the pressure of New York life. But as Detective Michael Mac-Torres and his team delved into Anya's digital footprint, a sinister web of calculated deceit, financial manipulation, and exploitation began to unravel. Anya's final social media post, 48 hours before her passing, showed her in an expensive designer gown at a trendy midtown eatery, a dazzling smile fixed on her face. The caption read, "Living the Nick Dream. Blessed." What her friends and family didn't know was the dark reality behind the perfect font. Anya had arrived in the U.S. in August 2023, a beacon of hope for her family back in Mumbai. The daughter of a high school teacher and a nurse, she had secured a partial scholarship to study computer science at the prestigious Ivy League institution. She was the first in her family to study abroad, carrying the weighty expectations of an entire community. She was the brightest star, recalled her father, Rajesh Sharma. During a heartbreaking video interview, she always said she'd go to America and do something big. We never imagined this is how she'd make headlines. Anya's first months in New York were everything she'd hoped for. Her grades excelled. She joined the university's coding club and formed close bonds with fellow international students. Her calls home were filled with enthusiastic tales of campus energy and inspiring professors. Yet, a silent, persistent problem grew: financial pressure. Despite her scholarship, the cost of living in Manhattan was astronomical. The rent for her cramped room in a shared Harlem apartment consumed more than half her stipend. To cope, she took a part-time job at a coffee shop near Morningside Heights. But even with the extra work, she barely made ends meet. It was in this state of acute vulnerability that she met Marcus Sterling, the encounter that changed everything. The architect of affection. The first contact was deceptively innocent. In October 2023, Anya was studying late in the university library when her ancient laptop finally failed. During a critical programming assignment, frustrated and on the verge of tears, she was approached by an impeccably dressed man who had been observing her. "Apologies for intruding, but your tech seems to be failing you," he said. Introducing himself as Marcus Sterling, a sharp 45-year-old tech investor. With his tailored suit and aura of effortless success, Marcus offered immediate help. "I know a discreet, high-end repair shop. Let me take care of it." What followed was a meticulously calculated maneuver. Marcus didn't just get her laptop repaired that day, he refused any payment. "Consider it a small investment in a brilliant mind," he offered with a warm, paternal smile. "I believe in supporting young talent." The subtle seeds of manipulation were sown. Marcus began to appear more in Anya's life first. An Instagram message praising an academic presentation, then an invitation to coffee at an exclusive cafe on the Upper West Side. He positioned himself as a mentor, a seasoned entrepreneur who sought to nurture promising students. He never made obvious romantic advances. Instead, he spoke of internship opportunities, industry connections, and navigating New York's elite circles. "He seemed genuinely interested in my future," Anya told her friend, Chloe Kim, a few weeks later. "Not like those other guys. He's a true professional." Marcus's psychological strategy was systematic. He alternated between boosting Anya's self-esteem, praising her unique potential, and fostering emotional dependence. He suggested that her peers, and even her professors, didn't truly grasp her value, that she was different in ways only someone with his influence could recognize. By December 2023, their meetings had escalated. They were always in public, respectable places, Michelin-starred restaurants, private art galleries, and exclusive networking mixers. Anya was introduced to a dazzling world of privilege. Marcus always insisted on paying, but in a way that felt like an entitlement, not charity. Anya started returning to Harlem with new, expensive clothes, dropping names of important people she'd met. It was always, "Marcus suggested this," or "Marcus connected me to that," recalled her roommate, Tara Patel. The golden cage. The significant turning point arrived in January 2024 when Marcus presented an offer that shattered the boundaries of their relationship. During dinner at a chic Soho spot, he casually mentioned an extra apartment on the Upper East Side that was sitting vacant. "Anya, I've seen how much you're struggling with the conditions in Harlem," he said with cultivated concern. "This apartment is secure, close to campus, and perfect for your studies. Don't worry about the rent, consider it part of the mentoring program. Young talent needs the right environment to flourish." The apartment was a palace compared to her old room, spacious, modern, with views of Central Park. Marcus furnished it lavishly, even providing a new wardrobe suitable for professional networking. With the move came a subtle isolation. Marcus suggested she spend less time wasting energy on friends who didn't understand her ambition. "He never directly told her to stop seeing us," Tara recalled, but suddenly, Anya was always busy with some important Marcus event. She had a new excuse every week. Marcus also emphasized professional discretion, arguing that his high-profile connections could be misinterpreted by outsiders. Anya was told to keep her new life and their meetings private, especially from her family in India. "You don't want to worry them unnecessarily," he argued. "They might not understand how professional relationships work in the U.S." In February 2024, Marcus finally revealed the true nature of the arrangement. Over expensive wine at his opulent Tribeca penthouse, he made his first intimate request. "Anya, you are a striking and intelligent woman, and I am a man who appreciates that. We have a special connection, don't we? Let's explore that a bit deeper." When Anya hesitated, clearly uncomfortable, Marcus immediately shifted to emotional leverage. He didn't press her physically, but reminded her of his investment, the incredible opportunities ahead, and their unique, mutually beneficial relationship. He had planted the seed of a transactional reality. The system of control, the dynamic, changed irreversibly. Marcus began to be explicit about the expectations attached to his support. He established regular meeting times that escalated from innocent dinners to expectations that she spend entire nights at his apartment. He developed a system of emotional rewards and punishments based on her availability and appreciation. She started mentioning that Marcus would get upset when she wasn't available, noted Dr. Lena Rodriguez, a counselor Anya briefly saw. She described feelings of intense guilt for disappointing someone who had done so much for her. Classic signs of psychological manipulation. Marcus intensified the control, installing security apps on Anya's phone for her protection as a young woman living alone. He wanted to know her location, her contacts, and her schedule. The financial aspect became explicit. A regular allowance, starting at $2,000 a week, then increasing to $3,500 for her company and discretion. This money, however, came with invisible strings. Marcus dictated how it should be spent, specific clothes, salons, and standards of appearance. If Anya questioned his demands, he'd become disappointed, reducing or suspending the allowance, subtly reminding her of her dependence. By March 2024, Anya Sharma was completely entangled. What she didn't know was that Marcus Sterling was not his real name, and she was not his first victim. The fatal discovery on March 15, 2024, 1 week before her death. Anya made a discovery that shattered the marriage. Marcus had forgotten his laptop at her apartment. A pop-up notification flashed on the screen. A message from a young woman that read, "I need to talk about the money you owe me." Anya's curiosity, mixed with her growing fear, overcame her privacy scruples. What she found in a meticulously organized folder titled Special Projects chilled her to the core. Anya was not the first. She found evidence of at least 7 other young, vulnerable international students over the past 3 years, all approached under the guise of mentoring, all from middle-class families in developing countries. Each relationship followed the exact same pattern: casual approach, trust building, isolation, the free apartment, and the transition to sexual expectations for financial support. It was like reading about my own life, multiplied, Anya later desperately confided to Chloe. Even more horrifying were the files detailing the fate of the others. One folder contained documents about Svetlana Volkova, a 20-year-old Ukrainian student found dead in her apartment 6 months earlier, officially an accidental overdose. Marcus files contained photos of her unconscious and chilling references to experimental dosages. Anya also discovered hidden cameras Marcus had installed in her apartment, not just for his pleasure, but for blackmail. He had evidence to threaten to send intimate videos to families and universities. If any victim tried to expose him, he chose vulnerable young people from conservative cultures where sexual shame would be devastating, explained Detective Torres. It was an almost inescapable psychological prison. Confrontation and conclusion. After 2 days in shock, Anya decided not to flee but to confront Marcus directly. She called me the night before, Chloe remembered. She was terrified, but resolute. She said she couldn't live knowing other girls would go through this. On the afternoon of March 18, 2024, Anya arrived at Marcus' penthouse. She had secretly backed up the laptop's contents and activated the audio recorder on her phone. Marcus initially tried to deny, then minimized the evidence. When Anya stood firm and threatened to go to the police, his composure cracked. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," he snarled. "I can make your life, and your family's life, disappear." At 6 p.m., the situation escalated to physical violence. Forensic evidence later showed signs of a struggle. Marcus, realizing he had lost psychological control, forcibly administered a lethal mixture of synthetic drugs, a similar concoction to that found in Svetlana's system. He intended to stage her death as a suicide due to financial and academic pressure narrative that had worked perfectly before. The final moments, captured on Anya's hidden phone recording, are terrifying. Her voice, growing weaker, tried to bargain. "Please, Marcus, my family." As he carried her unconscious body to his car, Marcus planned to dispose of her in his apartment. But on the way, the excessive dose took hold. When he arrived at the Upper East Side apartment at 9:45 p.m., Anya Sharma was already dead. In his haste and shock, the systematic predator made crucial, uncharacteristic mistakes. He left behind enough evidence for Detective Torres to find the reckoning. The anonymous 911 call came in the next morning. Detective Torres was immediately suspicious of the scene. An expensive apartment, thousands of dollars in designer clothes, and subtle signs of a hurried cleanup. The autopsy revealed a lethal, forced injection. The position of the body suggested staging, not a natural fall. The first major break came with Anya's phone, found under her mattress, containing the audio recordings of Marcus' threats. Through analysis of security footage and financial records, police discovered that Marcus Sterling was actually David Chen Morrison, a 47-year-old with a complex criminal past who had cultivated multiple false identities. David was not just an impulsive predator, he was a calculating professional who ran an international human trafficking and exploitation network disguised as a mentoring agency for vulnerable young women. He had partners in at least 7 countries who identified his targets. The investigation ultimately revealed 23 young women had fallen prey to his scheme over 5 years. The final evidence, collected from Anya's laptop backup, led police to David's remote safe house in upstate New York. In May 2024, David Chen Morrison was arrested. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office charged him with first-degree murder, human trafficking, and multiple counts of sexual exploitation. Anya Sharma, the bright student from Mumbai who dreamed of changing the world through computer science, had paid the ultimate price. But in her final, courageous act of documenting the truth, she provided the evidence that not only brought down her own killer, but liberated dozens of other young women trapped in the intricate, glittering, and deadly Manhattan mirage. Her story, a cautionary tale of vulnerability and predatory power in the world's most glamorous city, made headlines worldwide. A tragic, undeniable proof that even the most perfect social media font can hide a soul-crushing reality.